time is funny.
The thing that when we moved into the Boulder plant, it was just getting started. It was a good opportunity. I got into management. I started working second shift, and then I worked first shift. Well, the house was built, but it had no landscaping. So that was my job. We had an acre lot. We ended up half of it being a corral for horses. The rest of it, I had to put grass in. Well, I would work at IBM, and then after work, I would go to the sod farm. At the sod farm, I got to know the gentleman running the place. And I was going to need a half acre of grass. So he said, hey, if you want, you can have the grass that is left over when we close down for the day. All you have to do is give me a bottle of booze every now and then, and I will call it even. So every night after work, I would go to the sod farm, pick up a load of sod, and come home, and Wilma and Mark and the neighborhood boys would lay sod till dark.
First shift paying for the lights to stay on. Second shift laying that green till the break of dawn. Whole acre of dirt, but we made it come alive. Me and Wilma, Lil Mark, neighborhood side by side. Hard work, no brag, just love and some pride. Yeah, that was my job, that was my job. Brand new house, no yard, just clay. Dust clouds rising in the heat all day. IBM check, barely gas in the truck, but I still hit the sidewalk, ain't no luck. Old man said, boy, I like your grind. Bring me that jug and we'll call it fine. No cash, just trade, that's the country way. So I stack that grass at the end of each day. Ain't about money, it's about making something grow. Out of dirt, out of sweat, out of love, you know. First shift paying for the lights to stay on. Second shift laying that green till the break of dawn. Whole acre of dirt, but we made it come alive. Me, Wilma, Lil Mark, neighborhood side by side. Hard work, no brag, just love and some pride. Yeah, that was my job. Yeah, that was my job. Yeah, that was my job. Pulling the drive, kids laughing loud. Wilma in the yard.
When Mark got old enough, he wanted a horse. And it was horse country. We had never had one. Wilma and I had never really done much around horses. So we had to build a corral for the horse. We went shopping and found one, and it was a good horse. It was half Arabian and half quarter horse. They delivered it to us in the back of a pickup, which was fine. After we got the horse, I had to build a barn. That barn is still standing today, so I did a pretty good job. Mark loved the horse, but he was really the only one that could ride it. It was a spirited horse. They would do barrel racing in the hay fields and stack the barrels up, or the hay bales up, and run the horses around the bales. And he was always the fastest.
Barrel racing, sprinting
he loved that horse. Wilma she liked it, but it was really too spirited. She would try to make friends with it. She would feed it for lunch, feed it for carrots for lunch. And unfortunately, the horse would try to bite her. So their relationship wasn't that good. Mark continued and went to a new high school called Fairview, which just opened when he started school in Boulder. And Lisa continued in the grade school, which was close to the house. So he had to go to school, high school, had to go into high school for 5 miles every day. Again, he wasn't a very good student. He was a typical teenager. At that time, Boulder, in the early 1960s and 70s, was influenced a lot by the hippies out of Berkeley, Berkeley, California. A lot of them came to Boulder. Drugs became a problem, but the drugs were marijuana. Mark, fortunately, we kept him out of it, but he was a tough teenager to raise. From the horse, he went to motorcycles. One day, he came home all beat up. He had fallen off his motorcycle. And I always remember he looked at Mom and said, you know, that road is awful hard. And we said, yeah, we know that it is. But he went through the motorcycle phase. Then I bought a VW for him. And there, he pretty much went through the VW. But that's where Vondell's husband came in. Because he was really good with him. They had a number of people working in the welding shop, but he kind of took Mark under his wing and was good for him. And finally, with Mark, Boulder had a special school. I forget what it was called now, but he went to that school as well as a high school. And Mark and Wilma spent an awful lot of time doing schoolwork. But she was convinced that he was going to graduate from high school. And he did. So that was now getting into the later years of 1960, actually 1970. He graduated in 1974. Lisa was just the opposite. She was very easy she liked school, did well in school, made an awful lot of friends. And by 1975, she was in the 8th grade. So Mark had graduated to fast cars. I was working out in the yard one day when a cop pulled up in front and said that he had clocked Mark at 120 miles an hour on South Boulder Road. So, he was a good kid, never really got into major trouble, but at that time he had a lot of traffic tickets. And as I say, Lisa was doing well. We had a great time there. We bowled together in the night league. We learned how to ski. Mark went up to learn how to ski, and he was a great skier. But he's one of those that went to the top of the hill and straight down. Lisa and I, Boulder had a part of the rec center. You could go learn how to ski. And so Lisa and I went up to a small ski area, and both of us learned how to ski. And we were average skiers. Later on, we convinced Wilma to go ski. She went once, decided that she didn't want to be cold, so she never really got to ski. But the Rocky Mountains was a great place to ski at that time. We had a good time at work. I was fortunate. I got my first award, which was called an Outstanding Contribution Award, which only had $1,000 with it, but what they did at that time, they would take key people to Denver for dinner and a show. And so when I got that award, the next night, we went to Denver, had a nice dinner, and then went to see Fiddler on the Roof, which sold us on live stage shows. From then on, we loved them and saw a number of them. So everything went great. I became a project manager. We started to make a little money and was really in a pretty good position when IBM decided they were going to change the mission at the Boulder plant. One story I'd like to tell, my neighbor and I went down during our lunch hour to Denver to buy season tickets at the Denver Broncos, which was great. Unfortunately, when we went into the stadium to pick our seats, there wasn't anybody there. And so we picked seats on the 50-yard line, but unfortunately, they were in about the third row, behind the bench. So when we went to our first game, you couldn't see anything because the players would stand up and you couldn't see the field. So we worked that out. We ended up sitting in the end zone, but we had season tickets for most of the 10 years that we were in Boulder. And that was a good time because they were growing and it became good. We followed the Denver Broncos. Matter of fact, we kept our season tickets and Bondell used them after we left Boulder. But it was really a great place. But with IBM changing the mission, they were going to make copiers at the Boulder plant. And it really wasn't the kind of mission that I wanted to work with. I was working at that time on a large automated tape system. Matter of fact, our first customer was NASA, and they used the tape system to catalog space junk because it had to have a lot of storage system. So it was going to be transferred to San Jose. And again, Wilma didn't want to leave Colorado. They offered me a good job. Mark was graduated from high school in '74. Lisa was in the 8th grade. It was an ideal time to transfer, and it really was best for my career. So in 1975, we took a house hunting trip to San Jose, California. This was finished down here first because Lisa, this is all Lisa's. She grew up from the 8th grade here until she went off to college.
So this was all Lisa's downstairs room?
Yeah, this is all Lisa's.
So she had a nice little lounge
Well, it was
sitting area?
kind of after our, the way we did ours upstairs, had the setting room and everything.
Right.
And, so we gave her the same. This is this is kind of a mess. I'm working on my trains here, but this has got an interesting history.
What's that? Yes.
When on one of our trips to Kenya on safari, we stayed at this fancy club place, and they had a tub like this. When the downstairs was built, this was all just concrete, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I came home, got myself a jackhammer, and jackhammered out the cement and built the
Step down
built
tub.
the tub, yeah.
That's nice.
And did all this.
That's nice.
This is this was Lisa's furniture she had in Colorado. We brought out here.
Oh, from school?
No. When
Oh.
we lived in Colorado.
Got it. Who room was this?
Well, that's just that's Lisa's room now, but that's a spare bedroom. And over on the right, I've got an old desktop computer, so I was using this for my computer room.
Okay.
It was a beautiful time of the year. At that time, the Silicon Valley really wasn't the Silicon Valley. It really was the orchard. They were growing plum trees, and it was a spring, and everything was in blossom, lots of trees, and a beautiful place. But San Jose was a big city, and we didn't want to live in a big city. But we took a house hunting trip, and again, the manager I was going to work for was good. He spent a week just touring us around the area so we could see what it was like. And we ended up settling on a place called Morgan Hill. It was a town of about 6,000 people. It was about 17 miles south of San Jose, which is always a problem in California for traveling to work. But the plant was on the south of San Jose. So I told them that we would go to California for 10 years. That was our plan. We always wanted to go back to Colorado. But we decided for a career move, we would go to California. So, after our house hunting trip, we didn't find any place to live. So we went back to Colorado. Mark had his problems with traffic, so he decided to join the Navy. He didn't go to California. Lisa in the 8th grade was all set to go to California. So Wilma and Lisa lived in the house in Colorado until school was to start in California. We kept asking them, the school district, when school was going to start. This is in Morgan Hill. Living in California was a little different. My job was different. I was able to travel a lot, and the family took to California very easily. We built our house. We finished the upstairs. It's a 2-story house. It's upstairs. We finished all of it nice and left the downstairs just empty. Okay, so the first few years in California, I spent a lot of time working on the downstairs.
So anything that you needed to do was done here.
What's that?
Anything that you needed to do.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that once you got it up and functioning, then it was tough to get it finished because you kept using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that. But I built the whole thing. I built the walls, the ceiling, everything is mine.
Not many men could say they could do this, Wayne. Especially being self-taught.
Well, you know, you had a job that although I traveled a lot, we traveled a lot, but yeah, you could come home in the evening and enjoy doing things in the shop here. All the kitchen is the original, but the bathroom, all the vanities and everything I built in this shop. Okay.
Awesome.
Early in the time in California, Lisa started middle school in the 8th grade. When she graduated from that, she went to Live Oak High School, which was a 4-year high school that had a super band, marching band. She played the clarinet and loved it, and it was such an easy time because during those 4 years of playing in the band, the kids all took care of themselves. So you had none of the problems that you have with children growing up. One of the things that we did early was we took a trip to Europe with Lisa and Wilma. I had business in Germany, so I could fly business class. Unfortunately, they had to fly charter. They never let me live it down because charter back in those days, you were pretty well cramped in. But I got to Zurich and met them when they got there, and everything was okay. It was a good trip because we went to Venice first, came back through Switzerland, took a brine cruise up to Rotterdam, took the ferry over to London, which was nice because Wilma and Lisa were both interested in history. So we hired a history teacher as a tour guide, and so they really got the all of the history of Shakespeare and all of that. Then after that, we took a bus trip up to Scotland, and we were lucky because we got into Scotland, and they were having in Edinburgh. They were having the Tattoo, which is a world famous band event, different bands than we have, and a lot of the Royal Guard and that type of thing. But Wilma or Lisa really loved it. So then we came back to California, got settled in California. Mark came home, came out of the Navy, got hired by IBM. Before he got out of the Navy, he had been married to Linda, and they had had their first child, who was Angie. And so, while he was still at sea, Linda came to live with us in California with Angie. So we had one of our grandchildren with us for about 6 months before he got out of the Navy. After that, when he got out, Mark and Linda settled in Boulder. That's where he had grown up. Lisa graduated from high school from Live Oak in 1980. She decided that she wanted to go to the University of Colorado.
She was the quiet breeze, a softer step and easy peace. Loved her books and made good friends, the kind of girl you trust till the end, while her brother chased the edge of speed, planted softer seeds. She pulled on Friday, skied the slopes, found her joy in simpler hopes. Her life was humble, days were slow, snowflakes fell like dreams below,
because Mark and Lisa was there, and she could spend a lot of time with them and help them. They had their second child, Becky, and so it really worked good. Wilma and I were, for the first time, we were alone. And Wilma did a great job of bowling and playing bridge and joined the Newcomers Club and all of that, so she got really oriented into California very fast, but she started getting bored. So she decided that she wanted to be a hairdresser. So she went to Gavilan College and got her cosmetology license. She started to work for her friend in Morgan Hill, who had a hair shop. And it was kind of funny because she worked there for about a month. And I would come home at night and she'd already be in bed. She said, "This is hard work." And so she only worked for a month and then she retired, which she could do, which was fine. After, about 1983, we took one more trip, which I'd like to describe, because it was important to Wilma. I'll call it a religious trip. She always wanted to go to Israel and Egypt and all of those. And so I had business in Berlin. So we flew to Berlin, just the two of us. Spent a week there. Then I had to go up to Stockholm, Sweden. So we took the train from Berlin. At that time, the Iron Curtain was still up. And so Berlin was a tough city to get around on. But we went to East Berlin, caught the train in East Germany, went up to Sweden, and finished our business trip. After that, we had a Eurail pass, so we worked our way down to Athens, which took better than a week. And then in Athens, we got on a ship and went to Egypt. That was an experience because we really had never been to a third world country. But she wanted to see the Sphinx and the pyramids, and so it was a real history trip. Then we went to Israel. As a little girl, Wilma faithfully went to church every day, every Sunday. Her and her mother would walk over a mile from where their house was to the church faithfully every week. When we went to Israel, we first went to, got off the boat, took a bus over to Cairo, did the Cairo thing, did the Sphinx, and did the pyramids. But we were able to do a lot of the religious things. We went to the Mount of Olives, which is a beautiful place to look down over Jerusalem. Went to Jerusalem, followed the path that Jesus carried his cross, and also was able to visit the church where Christ was put after his crucifixion and the resurrection. So we visited all those places. Then we went to Bethlehem, and then we followed the Jordan River all almost up to Lebanon. And you'll see a picture of Wilma wading in the Jordan River, which she was very happy with.
Standing in, not passing through. To feel the spirits in the water and understand what's holy, what's true. It was one of those dreams she carried since she was a child at her grandmother's knee. So I took her hand and we made that flight to let her soul find peace. I watched her wade through heaven's stream. The current whispered like a dream. She stood so still, the moment gleamed and found her life's true theme. The water.
After that, we ended up coming home, and it was just a real successful trip. During the mid-'80s to the late '80s, we were busy in California. We were alone, had lots of time to enjoy life, and really did enjoy those years. We had wonderful neighbors. We had season tickets to the Broncos and season tickets to the Colorado Buffaloes with the neighbors. So we would it was just a good time. I also had a secretary by the name of Tammy Aruzo. She was from New York. She knew everybody, and she helped Wilma a lot. We used to have Christmas parties where I would invite the people that I was associated with in IBM, as well as the neighbors. Tammy would help her organize those, and we really had a wonderful time during the holidays. We celebrated Christmas with Lisa. Mark never made it out to Colorado or out to California. The way we would celebrate Christmas, they would start in the mornings with Jeff's family. Then they would come home to their house and have Christmas. And then in the afternoon, they would come to us, and we would have a family Christmas and Christmas dinner. Wilma had a great bridge group. They played bridge once a month. And frankly, they had a little wine in the afternoon. And they had a good time. We also had good neighbors here, which you'll hear about later on also. Bev and Glenn Pace had come to California just before we did, but Bev became her best friend and was friends all the time that we have lived here in California. Wilma was busy cutting hair. We had a half bath downstairs, which I converted into a hair salon. Wilma cut the hair of all the friends and all the friends' kids. There was a Polish group that had come to Morgan Hill from Chicago, who all of them had a number of kids, and it's been great that all those kids have grown up remembering her cutting their hair. And this is
Wilma Salon.
yeah. Well, now it was made as a half bath, and so it was plumbed and everything. But again, it was just concrete, and so her friend had a hair station, and so I brought it in. John was gone, all that was gone, and put the hair station across here, and then she had a normal hair salon chair there. And then when she got sick, we converted it back to half bath.